From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Hey there, everyone. I want to welcome you today. My name is Betsy Peterson. I'm the director of the American Folklife Center here at the Library of Congress. And on behalf of the entire staff of the Folklife Center and indeed the entire library, I want to welcome you to the very first concert of the Homegrown Concert Series for 2012. We have 8 lined up, and this is our inaugural one. The Homegrown Concert Series is a vehicle for us to feature the very best of traditional music throughout the country. And in developing the concert series, the American Folklife Center staff works with folk arts coordinators in states throughout the country. And in doing that, it allows us to bring some of the best traditional music here to DC to share with everyone. We also work collaboratively with Millennium Stage at Kennedy Center, and in this particular instance, with the Smithsonian Institution, because our featured artist today will be working there next week, so you'll have a couple of opportunities. At any rate, today's performance will be recorded for the collections of the AFC archive and will eventually be put up as a webcast on our website. So future generations will be able to enjoy this moment and this music. But in doing that, I just want to remind you, if you haven't turned off your cell phones, to please do so now, unless you want to be preserved for posterity in our archive as well. Today, we have a very special concert of French Creole music from Missouri. And I know most people were familiar with Cajun music in Louisiana, or French Canadian music in New England or north of the border, but there is also a vital tradition of French Creole music in Missouri and Illinois that has to do with the United States, or is a legacy of the United States purchasing that region through the Louisiana Purchase. And today we're presenting one of the very best groups in that tradition. To tell you just a little bit more about it, though, I'm going to welcome Matt Meacham, who is that folklorist that I mentioned, or one of them that I mentioned that we work with. He's a folklorist, musician, and writer who has worked in Missouri and Illinois, and he can tell you a little bit more about what you're going to hear. So please give a welcome to Matt Meacham.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here at the Library of Congress representing my friends Lisa Higgins and Deb Bailey of the Missouri Folk Arts Program. It would be difficult to overstate how much they contribute to the conservation and ongoing vitality of folk culture in Missouri, and it's always a privilege to work with them. One of the oldest extant communities in the Show Me State is Old Mines, established in the early 18th century by French colonists who were drawn by the area's mineral resources. Located in the Ozarks, 65 miles southwest of St. Louis, Old Mines, for much of its history, was more isolated than the historically French Missouri towns nearer the Mississippi River, such as St. Genevieve and St. Charles. Consequently, the culture of Old Mines has been less subject to external influences over time, and French Creole folkways have persisted there to a remarkable degree. Dennis Stroughmatt made his first visit to Old Mines in 1990. A native of southeastern Illinois, Dennis was keenly curious about the many folk cultures represented throughout the Mississippi, Ohio, and Wabash valleys, where his family had been living and working along the rivers for several generations. As a student majoring in historic preservation at Southeast Missouri State University, he wanted to learn in greater depth about the region's French Creole culture and was told that Old Mines is the place to go. Over the next 3 years, he documented the language, history, stories, and songs shared by such residents as Annie Paggi, Natalie Vilmer, Kent Bone, and many others. He also learned fiddle techniques and tunes from Roy and Pete Bouyer and Charlie Paggi, and his informal apprenticeships with them became central to his own artistic development. Since then, Dennis has lived, studied, and worked in South Louisiana and Quebec, and he and his family now live in the house in which he was raised in the small town of Albion, Illinois. He's made multiple critically acclaimed recordings, and his outstanding musicianship and talent for engaging with audiences have taken him to concert and festival stages from Philadelphia to Milwaukee to Denver. But perhaps his proudest accomplishments are his indispensable contributions to the perpetuation of French Creole music within the Old Mines community itself, including his performances at the Fête d'Automne. It was his mentor, Roy Bouyer, who bestowed upon him the responsibility of providing music for that annual gathering, an unmistakable stamp of community validation. Dennis Stroughmatt has done something to which many cultural specialists aspire, but which relatively few fully achieve. Like Alan Jabbour, the first director of the American Folklife Center, and like Missourians Howard Marshall and Meredith Sisko, he has seamlessly integrated his role as cultural documentarian with his role as cultural practitioner, transcending the distinction between community guest and community member. Joining Dennis today are his wife, Jennifer, a native of Chicago with French-Canadian ancestry, who will be singing and playing the triangle, bassist Jim Wilgoose, originally from Boston but transplanted in Southern Illinois, and guitarist and mandolinist Rob Crum, who also has French Creole ancestry and lives in the historic French settlement of Cahokia, Illinois. Please welcome to the Library of Congress for the first performance in the American Folklife Center's 2012 Homegrown Concert Series, Dennis Stroughmatt and L'Esprit Creole.
Canada c'est les bons enfants, Canada c'est les bons enfants, Canada c'est un beau souverain, il y a ce souhait. Oh vraiment, Canada c'est les bons enfants. Canada c'est le garçon, même beau l'on est l'offriment, le troisième bébé c'est les nations, peut-être du sel. Oh vraiment, Canada c'est les bons enfants. Canada c'est la maison, ni poteau ni les chivrons, pour longer les Irlandais, grand tout que des Bruxelles. Oh vraiment, Canada c'est le bon enfant. All right. Merci. C'était un grand plaisir d'arriver ici aujourd'hui et de vous présenter la musique qui vient de notre petit coin d'une monde française. C'est une petite place qu'on appelle la pays des Illinois. You all know it as Illinois, Missouri. We're from the Illinois country, Missouri and Illinois. Thank you very much. And we're here to present for you the French Creole music of our area that has been around for a very, very long time. And a lot of people, I'd say, have forgotten sometimes about our music and culture, but we're here to say, guess what? We didn't go anywhere. We're still there. And we're going to do a song here for you that actually originally comes from just upriver to me on the Wabash River, a song called Grand-mère se plaint, which means grandmother complains.
Qu'avez-vous dans ma vieille grand-mère? Gigonné, qu'avez-vous dans ma vieille grand-mère? Gigonné, qu'avez-vous dans le temps plané? Qu'avez-vous dans le temps plané? Oui, j'avais une vieille grand-mère. J'aurais pas pour ma vieux grand-père. Gigonné, j'aurais pas pour ma vieux grand-père. Gigonné, oh, tout temps après pleurer, oh, tout temps après pleurer, oh, pleurez pas pour ma vieux grand-père. Gigonné. Oh, plaider papa pour ma vieux grand-père. Gigonné, plaider papa pour ma vieux grand-père. Gigonné, pour lui qu'il est l'usant manger, lui qu'il est l'usant manger, lui qu'il est l'usant manger. Gigonné.
Thank you. I just have to tell you a little bit about that song. It's a song from Vincennes, Indiana, but it's actually a tune that I learned a long, long time ago from a great singer and lady from Potosi, Missouri by the name of Ida Portel. And I think she would be thrilled to know that we're playing here today because she used to sing the song for me, and she always told me, because I didn't know all those years ago that I would actually be performing any of these tunes for anybody. And she always told me, she said, Dennis, she says, if you ever get a chance to tell anybody, tell them about this song, what it was about. And so what it's about is a little girl who's complaining about her grandmother, or actually the grandmother's complaining about the grandfather, that the grandmother's cold, it's the middle of winter, and she needs some firewood and some food, so she sends the grandfather off into the middle of the woods to go find some firewood. But the thing about it is the grandfather never comes back in the song. Well, we ask a lot of people usually why they think the grandfather never come back. A lot of people always say, well, because the grandmother was complaining, was yelling at the grandfather. That's why he didn't come back. One time, Rob and I were actually playing out in Montana. How many of y'all have been to Montana before? Yeah, they got a lot of casinos out there, you know. And we were playing out there, and we asked the audience, why do you think the grandfather didn't come back? And some guy out of the audience yells, he went to the casino. So I was like, I guess it depends where you're from. But actually what happened is the grandfather got eaten by a wolf. For those that speak French. But Miss Ida told me, she said, Dennis, she said, be sure and tell everybody that this song was a love story. Because see, what happened was the grandmother continues to complain in the story about the fact that she's still cold and hungry and really didn't care what happened to the grandfather as long as somebody showed up with some firewood. That is an Illinois country love story right there. All right. We'll do a tune here for you. There was a great fiddle player, a guy that I never knew, a guy by the name of Joe Polite, and actually who played here many, many years ago in the 1970s. And it's a big thrill again for us to, because I think since Joe Polite was here, I think this is the first time that Missouri and Illinois French Creole music has been performed here in Washington, D.C. since the 1970s. So we're really excited to be here for that. And this was a tune that Joe did that I actually learned from Roy Buillon, who was a fiddle player who studied a lot with, and hung around a lot with Joe, mainly at the barber shop. That's one of the ways that music was passed around in this area, not usually by people showing up and recording you, but by just hanging out. And that's one of the ways that really the traditions and the language and the culture has been passed on. So we'll do, other than the fact that I don't have a name for this tune, and nobody really does, we just call it the Polite's Reel. Thank you very much. It's one of the one of the biggest treasures that we have in there are the old fiddle tunes, but also another treasure of our area that sometimes a lot of people always ask, and they always, usually after they've heard us play sometimes a different part of the country, they will come up to us and say, wow, we never knew that there were Cajuns in Missouri.
And we all say, we didn't either.
Yeah, we didn't either, actually. We didn't know there were Cajuns either in Missouri. But a lot of people sometimes confuse our music with Cajun music. Sometimes they confuse it with Quebecois music. And one of the interesting things about our music is there's a good reason for the confusion because there is similarity sometimes between our music and Cajun music in Louisiana and between our music in Quebec. And one of those traditions that you find in both places that we have is this very, very strong Buillon tradition. And I have to quickly teach y'all what Buillon is. How many of y'all know what Buillon is? Anybody know what Buillon is? I know you know what Buillon is. Bouillon. How many of you know what a bouillon cube is? You know, you go take your little Lipton cube, you know, you pop it in the water, and all of a sudden you got soup. Well, see, a bouillon in Missouri is a house party. So I bet you never knew that when you pop that cube in the water that you were having your own little party. It's a party in a box. So, but no, that's at a party in a cube. That's right. So the tradition, one of the traditions at the Buillon is something called a chanson à répondre, which is one of the ways that French culture and the language has disseminated through the years, because there's not been French taught in the schools in southeast Missouri and southwestern Illinois for over 100 years. And so it's been impossible to teach French other than through the home and through these parties. And this is a tune that I learned from Annie Paggi, one of the greatest, if not the greatest singer that I ever knew, from the Old Mines area in Missouri. And this is a tune called La Rose d'Amboise, which is kind of like our local version of Little Red Riding Hood, except that there's no Riding Hood and there are no wolves. And actually, to be honest with you, there's really nothing about the story that has anything to do with Little Red Riding Hood. But we always tell people that, because otherwise they wouldn't understand that it's kind of a fairy tale song. And we'll do it for you. But this is a clapping tune. Now, if anybody here in the audience speaks French and you can catch the lyrics as they're coming by fast and you want to shout them back at us, that'd be great. And if you don't, Rob's going to show you how to do it in an official manner.
Yeah, you know, if you just want to participate, well, you're certainly welcome to clap. And then if you don't know the words, you know, if you say something as articulate as blah, 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 that, you know, that will work as a start. But if you really want to do it, you know, authentically, you kind of want to say blah, 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 okay?
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. With
accent français.
That's right. You want to get the accent. All right, let's try to do it. All right, if y'all want to clap along, we'd appreciate it. And I'm going to do my best not to forget the words. Au père aussi de ma mère, non dans ton funky way. Au père aussi de ma mère, non dans ton funky way. Non dans ton funky way, c'est destiné à Rose d'Amboise. Non dans ton funky way, non dans ton funky way. And man we had a cola, highway, highway, highway. And man we had a cola, highway, highway, highway. Et man we had a cola, c'est destiné la Rose d'Amboise. Hey, le man we had a cola, hey, le man we had a cola. Oh, c'est la place de la ville, il va à ses maisons. Oh, c'est la place de la ville, il va à ses maisons. Il va à ses maisons, c'est destiné la Rose d'Amboise. Il va à ses maisons, il va à ses maisons. Oh, c'est la place de la ville, d'embrasse de les garçons. C'est la place de la ville, d'embrasse de les garçons. D'embrasse de les garçons, c'est destiné la Rose d'Amboise. D'embrasse de les garçons, d'embrasse de les garçons. Où est-ce que filles sont belles, tous les garçons y vont. Où est-ce que filles sont belles, tous les garçons y vont. Tous les garçons y vont, c'est destiné la Rose d'Amboise. Tous les garçons y vont, tous les garçons y vont. Où est-ce que filles sont laides, tous les garçons vont pas. Où est-ce que filles sont laides, tous les garçons vont pas. Tous les garçons vont pas, c'est destiné la Rose d'Amboise. Tous les garçons vont pas, tous les garçons vont pas. Hey, man, we had a cola. Highway, highway, highway. Man, we had a cola. Highway, highway, highway. Hey, man, we had a cause destinée la rose d'ombre. Hey, the man, we had a cola. Hey, the man, we had a cola.
Thank you all.
A lot of times people ask us about the songs in our area and they say, well, how old are some of the tunes that you do? Well, we're going to do a song here for you that we bet is probably so old that it's at least twice the age of even, well, the founding of North America by Europeans. We can tell you about that. You can go back 400 years, and this song's probably about twice as old as that. This is a song that's a traditional tune, something called La Gion, which is a tune that we do every year. It's a tradition, not only a song, but in which people put on masks and they gather and paint their faces and they go house to house begging for food and drink along the Mississippi River. They used to do it along the Wabash too. Still do this in Prairie du Roche, Illinois, and St. Genevieve, Missouri. And it's a tradition of charity, very similar to the mumming traditions in England, on the British Isles, also similar to the Mardi Gras. And actually, the gion itself is the kickoff to the entire season of Carnival. And like I say, this is a tradition that's been going on for 300 years in our part of the country. I've ran the gion many times in Prairie du Roche, Illinois, and I usually always carried the banner of being the only sober fiddle player left at the end of the night when they run. Because one of the things that you do is, somebody's got to do it, they run house to house, and well, you take wagons years ago, and now they take a bus. But the idea is you go house to house and sing some songs, and the opportunity to is eat and drink as much as you possibly can before midnight. And then they have a series, you save some of the food, and you have bouillons all the way through the series, through the season of Carnival, ending up with le Mardi Gras. So we'll do a little bit of the gion for you. Depending on what little village you're from, this song can have either like 22 to 30 verses in it. And I'm not doing them all, so we'll just do a few of them.
Bonsoir la maîtresse, ça y était le bon de doulouré. Pour la dernière jolie année, c'était la guenouille du bébé. Si vous voulez nous donner, dites-nous-les. Si vous voulez nous donner, dites-nous-les. On se le monde sous le monde, on a chiné. On a chiné n'est pas grand-chose, Dieu regarde à 20 pieds de long. On a chiné n'est pas grand-chose, Dieu regarde à 20 pieds de long. Si vous voulez nous donner, dites-nous-les. Si vous voulez nous donner, dites-nous-les. En prenant le seulement la fianée. On les verra faire bonne chair, on les verra chauffer les pieds. On les verra faire bonne chair, on les verra chauffer les pieds. Quand on dit mais tu prends mais plus ma lampe. Quand on dit mais tu prends mais plus ma lampe. J'ai entendu le goût chanter, c'est la colombe.
A little bit of the gion for you. Now we're going to have to do I always say that, Cajuns have kind of cornered the market on the Mardi Gras, but they're not the only ones who have it. Actually, we have the tradition of the Mardi Gras in our area very much too. In fact, they've reconstituted, and some traditions have never stopped in places like St. Genevieve, Missouri, and even in Old Mines, Missouri. But places like Vincennes, Indiana, and Prairie du Roche, Illinois, and even Cahokia have through the years reconstituted the old tradition of the Mardi Gras, which is identical to that of the gion too. And this is an old song that I learned from a gentleman from Old Mines. It's kind of a tune that he used to hear sung when he was a very, very young man. Mr. Tebow used to say that when the Mardi Gras would come to his house, the Mardi Gras was like the gion. And he said, but it was really not Mardi Gras until the pretty girls come around. And this is a song for you come to call Le Beau Mardi Gras, which means a beautiful Mardi Gras.
Le beau Mardi Gras, le beau Mardi Gras. Hey, buddies, and what papi, qui pique à la mécou, comme si finale ici, le beau Mardi Gras. Le beau Mardi Gras, le beau Mardi Gras. Hey, buddies, and what papi, qui pique à la mécou, comme si finale ici, le beau Mardi Gras. Le beau Mardi Gras, le beau Mardi Gras. Hey, buddies, and what papi, qui pique, qui coupe, comme si finale ici, le beau Mardi Gras.
Yeah! Well, I got a question for you. How many of y'all may have heard another song going in on that song? Something that you might have recognized the melody. Because the same thing happened to me when I was talking to Mr. Joe Tebow, learning this song from him. I said, that sounds like another song in there. And when I told him the song that I thought it was, he looked at me kind of perplexed and he said, I never heard of it. But now I'm going to play the song for you that I thought I heard. Skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip to the Mardi Gras. No, it's not the same song. But as a part of the tradition is in there. And of course, Mr. Tebow looked at me and goes, I've never heard of Skip to My Loo before. And I realized that's a song that kids learn at school. He never went to school, so he wouldn't have known it. We're going to do a tune here for you. This is something called Old Man Lucky, or Vieux homme la chance in French. And this is a tune that I learned from a great fiddle player in the area, a guy named Charlie Paggi. He was a real sweetheart of a guy and could play all kinds of instruments. And he was just a really fun guy, knew all kinds of old tunes. And one of the hardest things in getting from him, though, was he loved to play different kinds of fiddle tunes, not just French tunes. And so he might play a French tune and then turn right around and play something like, a Hank Williams tune or a Bob Wills song. And then you'd have to kind of push him to get him back to playing to the French tunes, but he knew them, and he knew lots of them, and this was one of them, something that we just called Old Man Lucky of Vieux homme la chance. Something Charlie always used to do. He always wanted to let the band know what the tempo was to the song. So he'd always kind of do something like this. Thank you. Here's an old traditional tune for you. This is probably one of the most prolific songs from our region, a tune called La Belle Blondine, which if any of you all are familiar with the story of Lizzie Borden, this is kind of like the Missouri, Illinois version of Lizzie Borden. And a tune that, well, we like to explain that a lot of times the ballads that we do, usually it seems like by the end of the song, no matter which ballad it is, somebody always ends up dead before one of these songs. And it's just something as a part of the tradition. I don't know why. I think every time somebody died, somebody wrote a song about it, it seems like. So this is one of those tunes called La Belle Blondine.
C'est la belle blondine, m'a donné l'honneur. C'est la belle blondine qui fait une chanson. Qui fait une chanson, qui fait une chanson, quand la chanson commence, alors l'on a, quand la chanson commence, son père l'a tué. Son père l'a tué, son père l'a tué, après puis à la porte, madre donna, après puis à la porte, à la cavantere. Oro qu'il arrivait, oro qu'il arrivait, on dit de moi blondina, oro de lona, on dit de moi blondina, où est-ce qu'il est mon père? Mon père était la gare, mon père était la gare, t'as dit de moi blondina. Lona, t'as dit de moi blondina, ton père était la gare.
All right, thank you. Well, I think we got time, just enough time left. We're going to do a few more songs for you. And at this point, I would really like to bring my wife, Jennifer Stroughmatt, to the stage. She has played with me off and on for years, a long time, and even started playing guitar years ago. Antifa, or as they say in Louisiana, and in Missouri, in Illinois French, we call a triangle a bastring, But she started hanging out at the Buillon parties, well, over 11 years ago, almost 12 years ago, and used to hang around a guy there at some of the Buillon parties, a guy that has a nickname locally called Gros Vent, which means big wind. And one of the things you'll find about a lot of the French in our part of the country, all of them have nicknames that usually stick and never go away. And we're gonna do a tune here for you. We were gonna do a slow waltz, but I think we'll do a fast one first. We'll do
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, we'll do one here for you, something called Du viens tu bajade. This is a song that's actually a Christmas tune, but the lady I learned from, Miss Ida Portel, she always liked to do it slow. But if you were ever at the Buillon parties and some of the dances that I went to, you had people like Roy Bouyer and Charlie who would take the song and double time it and turn it into a dance tune, into a reel. And I was basically told that some of the ladies in the area, if they heard that Charlie was doing that they would have boxed him for it. But unfortunately, they're not here today, so we're going to do it double time.
Right?
That's right. We're going to do it double time. We're going to do a Du viens tu bajade for Oh Shepherd, Where Did You Come From?
Si fuera de ver. Est-il bon, est-il bon, berger? Est-il bon, plus bon que le lunaire et que le soleil? Comme dans le monde, je vais s'en parler. C'est tout, ça c'est tout déjà, ça c'est tout. Et nous comme ces anges descendent des ciels, chantant les louanges de Ben éternel. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna do the song here where I don't hardly have to sing at all, which is kind of nice. This is a fun little tune that we're going to do for you. This is actually, we've talked a little bit about some of that other group of French known as Cajuns in Louisiana. We always say the other French, you know. And actually there's two others or three others depending on how you look at it. But we always have fun with all the music. But this is an interesting case of a song. There's not a whole lot of songs that I find, you know, and have found concurrently in all the different places in North America. You know, at least a lot of the songs that have survived in the Midwest. Not as many of them. There might be a half a dozen tunes that we have really kind of in common with Quebec, but even way fewer than that with the state of Louisiana. But every now and again, there are certain songs that come along that we do find are very similar, in fact, almost dead on. And this is a tune that was brought in by the Spanish in the latter part of the 1700s that came into Louisiana. When the Spanish controlled Louisiana before the Louisiana Purchase, St. Louis, Missouri was actually the upper the capital of Upper Louisiana and administrative center. So there were a lot of Spanish that came through the area, and they brought in some of their culture and folk groups and even opera. And this was a song that was brought in that I learned at the Buillon parties, and would come to find out that it's actually very well known in Cajun country too, and is wildly popular in Cajun country. And so the first time I went down there, it was kind of my end because it was the only song I knew for the most part. But it's a tune called J'ai passé devant ta porte, which means I passed in front of your door
And you were dead.
Hey, it's another one of those lovely French ballads, you know. So y'all enjoy it. I'm gonna have Rob and Jennifer both do it. We're gonna do it a little bit different today than we usually do it. We're gonna have some fun.
J'ai passé devant ta porte, j'ai crié bye-bye, mais après son répondu, oh yeah, mon cœur fait mal.
Well, we're just going to quickly do a tune here for you that this is a song that's something called Voyage au Saint-Geneviève. And this is kind of a song, has no lyrics, but just if you've ever been to the hills of southeast Missouri, what brought the French to our part of the country was lead mining. And, you used to have to pack the lead overland from the mines in Missouri over to places like St. Genevieve, Missouri, to put on the flatboats, take it down to New Orleans. Well, it was all done on the back of a mule, which we've learned is actually called a Missouri 4x4, is what it is. And, this song is basically what it's like trying to get to down to St. Genevieve from the old mines area with some lead on the back of a mule, something called the Voyage au Saint-Geneviève. All right, we got the mute. Well, I think we got time to do just 2 more songs for you. We'll just do a little bit of this song. This is one of those tunes that I know that is kind of concurrently between Quebec and Louisiana and right in the middle, which is where we are in the Illinois country. And interestingly enough, I found many, many different versions of this song, and I do find it kind of odd sometimes that our version in the Illinois country is a piece of the Louisiana version and also of the Canadian version of a song called Je fais une maîtresse. And, but even beyond that, it's very, very close in its origination as it came from Normandy and Brittany almost 400 years ago. So we'll do a little bit of this tune here for you. This is another song that I learned from Annie Paget as well as Marguerite Partel-Polit, who was a great singer from the Illinois country as well.
Je fais une maîtresse, il y a pas longtemps. Je fais une maîtresse, il y a pas longtemps. J'ai des voiles le dimanche, où j'irai. Et là, on demande bien aimé. Si tu viens le dimanche, je n'essaierai pas. Si tu viens le dimanche, je n'essaierai pas. Il m'a mettrait une biche dans un cochon. Du moins tu n'aurais pas. I don't count down now. Si tu m'aides une biche dans un beau champ, si tu m'aides une biche dans un beau champ, je me mettrai à chasser la botte, chasser le cœur de ma bien-aimée.
Thank you all very much. Again, we had a great time here. I have to tell you, it is such an honor to be here at the Library of Congress, and I cannot even put it in words. Be honest with you, it kind of, thank you. It kind of even chokes me up a little bit to think back well, almost 22 years ago, hanging out with a lot of these guys and old minds and women, and most of them aren't around anymore. Sorry. But I try to be their voice for them. They put a lot of time and effort in me, and yeah. And well, anyway, I'm going to do one more song before I break up here, so get out of here. But we're going to do a tune here for you that Roy Buillon was probably the most influential fiddle player in the area to me, and Roy's a great guy, cool barber, and anyway, he taught me a lot of songs and he didn't even tell me the name of them. And he said, well, here's a song for you, Dennis. Maybe you like this one, you know, and record tunes. And well, anyway, I decided finally to actually even write a tune kind of about Roy and what it was like to hang out at the Buillon parties. And so took one of his melodies and added some words to it and kind of affectionately call it the Buillon Stomp. And before we go, I want to quickly just introduce everybody to you up here on the stage. Please put your hands together for Mr. Rob Crum, everybody over here on guitar. Back here on upright bass from Nashville, Illinois. Please put your hands together for Mr. Jim Wilkes, everybody. And over here, my lovely bride.
There's kind of two of us standing here.
There's really kind of two here right now. She is 5 months pregnant, actually, so we're hoping to have even another one. And our daughter Reagan is running around here as well. She's been running around here. But please put your hands again. Jennifer Stroughmatt, everybody.
Thank you very much.
This means a lot to this guy today. How about a hand for Dennis Stroughmatt, everybody? All right. So I should add, if you like what you hear, we're playing at the Kennedy Center tonight. It's kind of hard to believe. It's one of these somebody pinch me days. But Kennedy Center tonight, and then next Wednesday, we'll be out on the mall every day, starting Wednesday through Sunday. We're going to play at the Smithsonian Folklife Festival next week. So come and see us. Yeah, that's going to be great.
And also, at the end, we will have some CDs available. If you want to come and check out some of our CDs, we do have 3 different ones with us. Thank you all again for coming out today and spending your afternoon with us. We really appreciate it. We hope we'll see you all later. Puis dans ma chambre, puis vous regardez, c'est le plancher de bien frappé. Puis c'est le moment, c'est la même peine, et danser sans pareil. On dansait tous les soirs, tu sais bien, c'est tu m'aimes pas. Tous les semaines, pour trouver les larmes, on va tout le monde de dire à la maison. Tout le monde porte, il devient la dame, on va dire pour nos bouillons. Puis de la mafia qui nous dit, c'est le bon chien qui dit de la paix. Puis de l'homme, c'est le même la peine, et non, c'est sans pareil. Non, non, c'est tous les soirs, tu sais bien, Thank you again very much. We appreciate it. Thanks so much for having us here. Thank you all very much again. Hope we will see you either tonight or next week. Thank you. We are l'Esprit Créole. Merci encore.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.